Welcome back to the learning curve. And as I always say, when I learn, you learn. And lately I've been learning a lot about Patreon. So in this video, I want to give a relatively detailed behind the scenes look at how Patreon works as of January 2025. So I'm just going to run through all the different sections and all the different settings and just give you a demonstration of how it's put together and also how you post something to your Patreon. So this is the Planet Doug Patreon. This is the main page. I'm doing this on a laptop. It looks quite different on a smartphone. So this is the laptop view. And one interesting thing that I learned is that you can be a Patreon creator and you can be a Patreon member. And depending on what you're doing, you log into a different profile. So if you go down here in the left corner, you can see that I am logged into my Planet Doug creator account. And I can click on this, and as you can see, I also have a Doug Nienhuis member account. So if I click on that, you'll see that everything changes. And now this is me as a member of Patreon, not a creator. So over here, these are the channels that I have joined recently on Patreon. So I'm a member of the Frugal Wanderer, We Hate the Cold, Krikos Adventure, and Mark Travels. So this is where I would go if I want to look at the Patreon from other creators. But we're not going to spend any time here. I'm going to click on this again, and now I can go back to my Planet Doug creator page. So here we are back at the Planet Doug creator page. And another interesting thing is here I can also view this page in two different ways. Right now I'm viewing it as me. I am the owner, the administrator, the creator of this page, and this is what I see. But if I want to see what a Planet Doug Patreon member sees, I can do that also. These three dots here, click on those three dots, and you can see I'm viewing as the creator, but I can also view this as a paid member. So if I click on that, you'll see a bunch of things change. A few items here have disappeared, and now basically if you are a Planet Doug Patreon member, this is what you see. And I can see the same thing. So this is the main feed right here. Here's a photo post, a podcast post, another photo post, and this is a link, and I'm talking about YouTube here. A feed filler, just talking about something randomly. So this is what you would see as you scroll down the Planet Doug Patreon feed. And then up here at the top, you can look at the collections, the chat area, the membership options, and then there are links to my Facebook page, Instagram, YouTube, things like that. So here you can see down in the left-hand corner, we are currently viewing as a member. And if I want to go back to the creator view, which I want to do, I'm going to go over here and click on that. So here we are back at the creator view for Planet Doug Patreon. And I'm just going to run through these menu options first and talk about those a little bit. And then we're going to go over here and talk about the control settings over here on the left. So this is the home page, the main feed. And then for me, the most powerful feature of Patreon and the thing that I was most happy to see is this, collections. So you upload a whole bunch of different posts to Patreon, but then you can organize them in collections. So these are the collections I've created at the moment. The Planet Doug podcast for 2025, all the Planet Doug podcasts for 2024, bonus videos, behind the scenes videos, photo posts, dispatches from the road, on and on. So these are all the collections that I've created so far on Planet Doug. And this is what it looks like as a creator. And I don't think it changes very much when you go to the member view. But let's just take a look at that. So as a paid member, this is what it looks like. And it's pretty much the same thing. Let's go back to the creator view. And here we are with the collections in the creator view. So you can do various things here. You can create a new collection. So if you click on this plus here, you upload a thumbnail for the collection. It needs to be, or the recommended size is a square, and under 2 gigabytes, which I think is pretty easy. If you have a photo that is over 2 gigabytes, well, I think you're doing something wrong. And 1024 by 1024 pixels. And as a pretty obvious procedure, you just select an image here. You give the collection a title and a description, and that is pretty much it. And then you create a collection. And after the collection is created, now it is available for you to add posts to it. So let's go through the steps of actually creating a collection, and I'll do it here and you can see exactly how it's done step by step. So you start here, of course, and you have to go to the collections item on the main menu. Here you can see your list of collections here, and then you click on this button, the plus sign, create collection, and it brings you to here. So just as an example, let's create a collection for pictures of people. Just off the top of my head, we'll just call it people pictures, and then you can give your collection a description, and I can just call it pictures of friendly people that I meet around the world. And you can set collections for sale individually. And if you do this, you turn on this toggle button, give it a price, and then this collection will show up in your Patreon shop, and it will be for sale. And I'll be talking about that in a few minutes. So for our collection, it's a good idea to add a thumbnail image. As it says up here, it is optional. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, but of course it's a good idea. And I've created a picture in advance. So I've already made a thumbnail image that is square and is about taking pictures of people. So you click on select image, and then you just have to navigate to the proper folder. So here I have a folder for Patreon graphics, Patreon collections graphics, and down here there should be a thumbnail for people pictures. There it is here. So as I said, I just created this as an example. So you select the photo you want as a thumbnail and then open it, and it will automatically be uploaded to here. Should show up in a couple of seconds. And there we are. We have a nice thumbnail. People pictures, that's me. And these are some people that I met in Sumatra. So we're all done. We've got the thumbnail, we've got the title, we have the description. The description can be up to 180 characters long. That's the maximum. And once we are done, you click on the button to create a collection, and it will show up right here. And as you can see, it doesn't have any posts yet because, yeah, we just created it and it took a while, but now the thumbnail has shown up here. So if you already have a whole bunch of posts that you could add to this collection, you can click on this button, Add Posts, and it will give you a list of all the posts on your Patreon, and you can scan through here and look for any appropriate posts that fit into this category. And I don't think I have any now that I think about it. There might, oh, actually there might be a couple way at the very beginning. So you just scroll and scroll through. We can actually filter by media type, so that makes it a bit faster. So if we look for images, okay, that's going to be better. So now we just have the images. Okay, so here's a picture of me with another person. So that technically is that was when I was getting a haircut. It is a photo post, but I can add that to this collection. That seems to fit. And then we can scroll through. I guess we only have one. I thought there was one more. But anyway, that's enough to give you an example. You would basically go through all of your posts, select all the ones you want to add, and then add to collection. And now there it is. So we have a post inside this collection, and you just click the arrow to go back, and go back. And here we are at our collections. And there it is, our brand new People Pictures collection with one post inside it. It has a number count on the front, and then people can scan through your collections and they look at that, go, oh, this will be interesting. Let's look at all the people pictures. They click on the collection. It opens it up with all the posts in a long feed of people pictures. So there you have it. That is how you create a collection. You can also reorder the collections. Right now I have the podcast at the very top, bonus videos. So I have what I think of as the most important collections at the top, and then you can reorder them. Click on this reorder button, and now it's a very simple process. So for example, if I wanted the bonus videos to be at the top, I just click on this handle on the left, drag upwards, and now they're at the top. Maybe behind the scenes videos, I want them at the top. I click and drag, and that's it. And one thing I learned about Patreon is sometimes you have to save your changes, but much of the time you don't. So it automatically saves everything you do. And that confused me for a long time because I made these changes and now I'm looking for the save button. How do I save my changes? I go all the way down to the bottom, all the way to the top. I'm looking everywhere, and there is no save button. So that's something to realize, that everything is saved automatically. So now let's go back to the main page and then go back to collections. Here we are back at the home page. Click on collections and boom. Now you see bonus videos, behind the scenes videos, then the podcast. And I'm probably going to leave it this way for now. So that is how you create and manage a collection. If you want to make changes, it's pretty simple. You just click on a collection, like let's click on bonus videos. And now we're inside the list of, these are all the videos that are inside the bonus video collection at the moment. And then if I want to make any changes, you have to click on manage. So you click on the manage button, and now I can move the posts up and down. I can reorder them. I can have them from newest to oldest, or oldest to newest, whichever you want. And then if I want to edit the collection itself, it's a little bit non-intuitive. You have to go through a lot of stages to get here, but now I have to click on here, and then finally I get edit details, and now I can edit the details of this collection. I could change the thumbnail, change the title, change the description, things like that. So it's a little bit complicated how you have to do that, but you just have to go deeper and deeper, and then remember to click on these three dots and then you can finally edit the details of your collection. I don't want to make any changes today, so let's hit cancel, and now we're back here. And now let's go back another stage, back here, back again, and we should finally end up here back at collections. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about with collections for now. Moving on, we've got the chats. This is another feature I was really happy to see in Patreon. I don't know in the long run how useful it will be, to be honest, because I think people today have so many places in social media where they go to chat with people. They've got Facebook already, they've got WhatsApp already, they've got the comments and the community page on YouTube. So now having a Patreon chat area, I honestly don't know whether anybody will ever use it, but I thought it was pretty exciting when I saw it. So now we click on chats. Remember, again, we are in the creator view. So this is the creator view. And the way this works is, because right now the Patreon is brand new, so I'm the only one who can create a new chat. And these are the two chats that I've created so far. Welcome to the Planet Doug Patreon. It's like a thread, a chat window thread, and feedback, suggestions for Planet Doug. So if we click on that, it will take us to the chat area. And here, as you can see, these are the chat threads. And then I can say something new here and then continue the thread. And here's another one, the welcome to the Planet Doug chat. And my friend KY, he was doing the same thing as me. He was trying to learn how Patreon works. So he tracked down the chat window and he said, "Hi Doug, just trying to get familiar with Patreon. I hope you are having a good time." So that's basically a message KY left for me, and anybody who goes to the chat window will be able to see it. So that's something to remember. This is a public chat area. And then here I replied to KY. And then if you, as a Planet Doug Patreon member, go to the chat area, you will see the same window, and you can say anything you like and continue this thread. So, as I said, anybody can click on one of the threads here, one of the chats, and then come down here with this box at the bottom where it says say anything, and then they can leave a comment. But notice there's also a picture here on the left of a little icon of a photograph, which means you can click on this and you can insert a photograph as well into your comment, which is very nice to see. Something about YouTube that has always bothered me is that the comment section for videos is very primitive, very basic. You can't insert photographs. They don't like it when you put in a link that takes you out of YouTube, so links get blocked. You can't group comments from the same YouTube user. There are just so many features that are missing from the YouTube comment section. And I don't know whether YouTube does that deliberately because they don't want those features, or they just haven't gotten around to it and they don't think it's important. But anyway, I was very happy to see that here in Patreon, you can insert any kind of photo or graphic. And there's another very powerful feature that I've learned about, that you can reply directly to another message. And this is something that YouTube doesn't let you do either, which really drives me crazy. But here on Patreon, for example, my friend KY left another message here. And what I can do, as you can see, there are 3 replies to this. And in order to reply directly to a message, all you have to do is click on it. So I'm going to click on this message and look what happens. Boom. Over here on the right, it opens up a long window where I can reply directly to that message. So if you write a message here in the main box at the bottom, that adds a new main comment. But if you want to reply to one of these comments, you click on it, it opens up this window, and then anything you write here, you can also insert photos here. Anything you write here will be listed directly underneath that comment as a reply, which I think is amazing. And then here you can click on this to open that up, and now you can see my replies to KY. I replied to him 3 times, once, twice, and a 3rd time here. And another long-time member of the Planet Doug community, Self-Reflection, she left a message here. Hello, Douglas. Good step in the right direction, talking about the Patreon in general. And I wanted to reply, so I just clicked on it. It opened up this window over here, and then I wrote a reply, and then Self-Reflection reacted to my reply with a smiley face. So this is a very powerful feature inside Patreon. I was very happy to see it. If we go over to feedback and suggestions thread, same thing here. Pramod Naidu, he left a comment 2 days ago, and I wanted to reply to it, so I just click on it, opens up this window over here, and then I wrote my reply. Armando Betancourt, also a long time Planet Doug supporter. He left a comment wishing me luck with the new Patreon, and then I replied to Armando, and all I had to do was click on it, and here I can reply directly to him. And over here, there is a new chat. So if I wanted to, I could create a new chat window, a new thread, basically. And I can give this chat window a name. Just for fun, let's make a YouTube topics. I don't know whether I will keep this or not, but let's just create a YouTube topics. Who can access this chat? I can say all members, meaning free members and paid members. Right now I have everything set to all members. So even if you join the Planet Doug Patreon for free, you still have access to the chat area. But I could say paid members only for this particular chat. So you can set each chat thread individually, or I can select a tier. So if I choose this, I can say that this is a chat only for the Forest Planet members, or I can say this is a chat window only for the inhabitants of the City Planet, or I can choose 2 of them, as many as I want. So that I find that is very interesting. So in the future, I probably will do that. Why not? I can create a Forest Planet chat, and then only the people who live on the Forest Planet can see this, and they can talk to each other because they all live on the Forest Planet. Or I can create one for the inhabitants of the City Planet, etc. So anyway, for now, let's not create the new chat. I just wanted to show you how it worked, and let's cancel this for now. So that basically is the chat area. Now let's go back to the main page. The next item in the main menu here is the shop. And I don't know a lot about the shop. I've just started dipping my toe into the possibilities here, but I'll go over a few of the things that I've learned. So the shop is basically the place where you can sell things, and you can actually sell your posts and your collections. So here, for example, I put together something. I did this more as an experiment. I just wanted to figure out how this worked. So what I did was I took one of my old travel journals. This is a journal that I kept when I was living in Quito, the capital city of Ecuador. And at one point in my 6 months in Ecuador, I visited a local prison. So this is the Quito Prison Visit Journal. So there are about 8 or 9 entries in this journal talking about my visit to a prison. And I thought it was quite an interesting story. So I took all of my journal posts, put them together into a collection, and then I set a price for it. Down here on the left, you can see that there are 8 posts in this collection, and then people can buy it. So essentially it is like an ebook, but it is an ebook inside of Patreon. So if someone buys this ebook, then they get access to this collection, and they can read my journal about the visit to the prison. So that's a very interesting idea, and there are some very technical things I had to overcome in order to do this, things that I had to figure out. And it probably isn't useful at this point to go into them because they are pretty complicated. But the basic idea is that in order to make a collection of posts and then sell it, those posts also have to be assigned to a tier. And that isn't very logical, because if you assign a post to a tier, then all the members of that tier have access to it automatically. So then what's the point of selling it? Do you see what I mean? It's not logical. I'm saying if you want to read these journal entries, you have to buy it for $5. But the way Patreon works, all the members of a certain tier can just have access to it for free. So it's just not logical. So I wrote an email to Patreon pointing out this logical problem and asking them, like, how can I do this? It doesn't make any sense. And they wrote back to me and they basically said, what you need to do is create a fake tier or a hidden tier. And this won't make any sense to people out there that haven't created a Patreon, but essentially what you do, like on my Planet Doug Patreon, I have 4 tiers, right? The Forest Planet, City Planet, Ocean Planet, and Mountain Planet. But what Patreon told me is, okay, what I need to do is make a new tier, give it a name. So let's just say I make a tier called the shop tier. I could just call it the shop tier. You make a tier, but then you unpublish it. So you create it, and then you unpublish it, and you make it hidden so that nobody can join that tier. So then when you want to sell a collection, you create the collection, and then you add all of your posts to that collection, but you also add those posts to your fake tier, your hidden tier, the unpublished tier. And that's kind of a technical hack or a technical workaround for selling a collection. But you can sell any digital item that you want. So when you go into the shop, you see there's a menu over here, a button, I should say, called Add New. Click on that, and now you can add new digital products to your shop. So you can do all kinds of things. You could create a video, and you could sell it as a digital product. You could create an audio book, an audio file, and you could sell it as a digital product. Some kind of a digital image, a JPEG or PNG or GIF, and then you could sell it or other types of files, any file up to 5 gigabytes. So basically it's pretty simple. You give your product a name up here, you set a price, and if you look at the pricing options, you can sell it at a certain price, but then you can also give Patreon members free access to it. So what I could do is create a digital product, have it for sale to non-Patreon members, but then all Planet Doug Patreon members can download it for free. And you can also offer discounts. So it's a very powerful feature, and I think people could have a lot of fun with this. And then once you give it a name and set a price, you can describe what it is in this box, and then you upload it to Patreon. You can have a thumbnail image, like a preview image, that you add here, and then once all of this is ready, you publish it, and now after you publish it, it will show up in the shop and will be available. So yeah, that's basically how it works. Let's close this. I don't want to save any of my changes. And then after you have published your digital product, it will show up here in a list. And one last feature here is this little symbol over here. This is what they call the product showcase. And it is a beta product. It seems to be enabled by default. And it means that you show products from your shop to all visitors of your homepage. And you have various selections here, the most recent products or smart recommendations. So you can turn on this product showcase. Again, I don't believe I have it on. I don't know how it works yet, but that's over here if you click on that button. But I'm going to cancel that for now. So that is basically the Patreon shop and how it works. Now this is an interesting area. So this is the membership area, and again, this is from the creator perspective. So here we are in the creator window, and these are the paid membership tiers: the Forest Planet, City Planet, Ocean Planet, Mountain Planet, and one of these is always highlighted. And Patreon can do this automatically, or you can decide which one is highlighted. And right now they chose to highlight the Ocean Planet because at the moment it is, since I opened the Patreon, it is the most popular planet to live on. So it has 5 members at the moment, 2 members on the City Planet, 1 member living in the forest on the Forest Planet. So this one is highlighted. And this is what it looks like as a creator. Now let's take a look at the paid member view, which will be strikingly different because now it looks a lot more attractive because it has a larger thumbnail for the Forest Planet, the City Planet, Ocean Planet, and Mountain Planet. And it has this section that I wrote, and then you can click on the Show More button. So you can see all of the benefits here if you are a member of, if you are living on the Forest Planet, and then you can join. So it has the join button for a member view, joining for the City Planet. And I believe if anyone is coming from the public, there's also going to be a join for free button up here. But because I'm looking at it as a paid member, I don't see the join for free option. But for everybody else in the world, there will be a join for free option. So there is the member view of the tiers. And again, it looks different on a smartphone. This is what it looks like on a laptop. Let's go back to the creator view. And on the creator view, of course, you see it differently. It doesn't look quite as nice. It just looks ordinary. And there's a button here for editing. And it took me a long time to learn all of this. So now I'm going to share with you the things that I learned. Let's pretend that we are going to edit the forest planet. You can change the price of being an inhabitant of the forest planet. You can rewrite all of this. You can change the benefits. And let's take a look at how that works. So you click on edit. So here I can change the name. You can change the price. Of course, you have to be very careful with changing the price. If you have a whole bunch of people living on the forest planet, they decided to live there based on the price, so you can't just go in here and say, oh, now it costs $5. If you're going to raise the tier price, of course, you have to do that very carefully, and you have to clear it with your members, explain what you're doing, etc. So you really don't want to mess around with this unless you really know what you're doing. And then here you can write a blurb, and this gives you formatting options. I haven't done very much here. I plan to make this a little bit better in the future, but you can format the text with paragraphs, bold, italic. You can add bulleted points, things like that. You can orient it to the left or right, and you can add photographs and I believe even videos. So you can make this as elaborate as you want. At the moment I have it quite simple. This is where you add your cover image, and you have to make that yourself, of course, and they have a recommended size here, 460 by 200, and this is something that I created. All of the photographs here, by the way, they are pictures that I took myself. This is a photograph that I took in Thailand. I went to a national park that featured some old growth forest, and I took that picture there, and I thought it was suitable for the forest planet. Now here is the heart and soul of the Patreon. These are the tier benefits. And something that I did, and I don't know if anyone else has done that, what I wanted to do was make a direct connection between the benefit and the collection. So for every collection that I created, a collection being a grouping of posts, I turned that collection, like access to that collection, into a benefit. So I have a breaking news collection, and that is a benefit that the inhabitants of the forest planet get. Dispatches from the road, that's a collection. Lively links, fabulous photos, and then you get into some things that are not actually collections, like the ability to vote on polls. That is just something I created here. I don't have any polls on Planet Doug yet, but that is not a collection. The blue dot feature, that is a collection of videos, that I turn that into a benefit. Relive videos, etc., etc. And then there's also the possibility of having early access to the monthly Ask Me Anything video, Planet Doug chat room membership, and of course, your name in the video credits. And of course, the way Patreon works is that these are all the benefits for the forest planet, but if you have a tier that is above the forest planet, so the city planet for me is above the forest planet, it currently costs $5 as opposed to $3. And if you choose to live on the city planet, the way I set up my Patreon, you get all of these benefits plus new ones, right? So the higher you go in the tiers, each tier includes new benefits plus everything in the lower tiers. And you can choose if that's how you want to set up your Patreon. So you also have down here at the bottom, free trial. If you turn this on, it gives members of your Patreon, they can join for 7 days before charging them. which is probably a very good idea, but I hadn't thought this through yet. I have not turned that on. And there are some advanced features down here, such as when somebody joins this tier, you can ask them for a shipping address during checkout. And you would do that if, for example, in this tier, if I offered as a benefit, I will send you a postcard or a t-shirt or a coffee mug, some physical item that you want to send to the members of this tier, then of course you need a shipping address. I don't have anything like that, so I have not turned that on. And you can also limit the number of members. So for example, if you have a tier that offers something that is extremely valuable or takes you a long time to create, you might want to limit the number. For example, if you offer a benefit that takes you 10 hours to make, you don't want to have 1,000 members because there's no way you wouldn't have enough time. So you may want to say, okay, this is a limited tier, only 5 people can join this tier, or 10 or 1, whatever you want to do. Discord is something I don't understand. I think it's very popular in the United States, not so popular in the rest of the world, where it's basically a chat area, Discord. I do have a Planet Doug Discord set up, but my brain can't handle it right now. It's way too complicated, and it's enough for me just to open up a Patreon. I did not want to mess around with Discord yet. If a lot of people are familiar with Discord and they want to use it, well, then I will turn it on and I will set it up. And of course, there are some tax implications whenever money changes hands. So there's sort of things about adjusting sales tax according to benefit value, configure your HST, but I don't really understand any of this yet, so I have not done anything there. So the interesting thing is that all of these benefits, none of them existed before I created them. So, and creating them is a little bit complicated, but down here there's a button, add a benefit. So that's pretty obvious. All you do is click on add benefit. And right now, like what it means is add a benefit to this tier, not create a new one. This is just adding a benefit to this tier. And then it gives you a list. So this one, it tells you that Relive, it's already added to this tier. Lively Links has been added to this tier. Fabulous Photos, already added. And then eventually you get down to the point where these are benefits for upper tiers. So for example, the one-on-one private chat, that is a benefit on Planet Doug, but it's not available in the Forest Planet. But I could add it if I wanted to. So all of these benefits, early access to learning curve videos. So in fact, early access to this video is not available to people living on the Forest Planet, but I could add it if I wanted to. So these are all the benefits that I've created, and it tells me what tiers have them. But now if you want to create a brand new benefit, now you have to come down here. So it's a little bit non-intuitive again. You have to click on add benefit, then you have to click on browse recommended benefits right here, and now you are creating a brand new benefit. And if you want to just create your own, you make a custom benefit. So you basically click on the add button, and now you can create it. So maybe I want to say if I want to do the postcard thing, postcard from every new country, right? So I can give my benefit a name, and then I have to assign it to a category. So what type of benefit is it? And this is also something I spent a long time figuring out, and I don't understand all of them, but there's a drop-down list here. So this can be a bonus content. It can be commissions delivered by mail, digital commissions. You basically have to tell people, or you have to tell Patreon, what kind of benefit is it? And the reason you have to do that is because they apply tax. So they have to decide how valuable the benefit is. And based on the value of the benefit, they assign it to a taxable category. So you've got early access, ebook, voting power, live chat, live event, etc., merchandise, member recognition. And I don't understand all of these. It takes a while to figure them out. And you can say other. And this one is interesting. This one took me a long time to figure out. General support. You choose this one if the benefit, if there is no benefit. So all you're saying is these people want to support the creator and they're not expecting anything in return. So that then you could click on general support, and that means this benefit doesn't actually give them anything. It is just a mechanism whereby your supporters can support you financially. But that doesn't apply here, of course. Postcard from every new country. I don't really know what one I would choose. Merchandise, maybe, tangible goods, member recognition. I'm not entirely sure which one I would pick for that. But anyway, over time you learn, like bonus content. Bonus content would be like a new YouTube video or something like that. This one could be direct one-on-one connection, maybe, because you're sending an individual a postcard. But anyway, you basically give your benefit a name, and then you choose a category. And as it says over here, the category affects the taxes that your members pay. So I think you have to be careful which one you choose, and I don't understand it exactly, but that's what's going on here. And then you click Add Benefit, and now you can add it to the tier. Of course, I don't want to do that right now, and I'm going to just click Cancel, and we will. So this one, do you want to cancel? Any unsaved changes will be lost. Okay. So now we're back to the basics. And you can also change the order of the benefits, how they appear on Patreon. So that's basically how that works. I think I covered pretty much everything. As I said, I don't understand everything, and then you can click on a preview page. So let's click on that just to remind ourselves what it looks like. And now we've opened up a new page, and then here are the various memberships, the Forest Planet, the Join button, and then all of the benefits. I talked about how you can change the order. This is where it will appear in the order. Just to make it absolutely clear, let's go through the steps involved in actually making a new benefit and adding it to one of the tiers. And what I'm going to do is add access to another collection to the Forest Planet tier. So for example, if we go back to the collections, and as I said, the way I've set up the benefits, I've attached them to the collections. So I made a collection of bonus videos, and then I said one of the benefits for Patreon members at a certain tier is early access to the bonus videos, things like that. So I know that there is a collection here that I have not turned into a benefit. This one right here. These are YouTube vlogger stories. And I created this collection when I realized that I was posting more and more links to YouTube videos and talking about them. And these are not my YouTube videos, but YouTube videos from other YouTube vloggers. So this one, for example, this is a Canadian Eric who is riding his motorcycle around the world. I found something in this video quite interesting, so I linked to it and then wrote about it. Here is CK from the Seacology channel in Malaysia, and I linked to one of his videos that I thought would be interesting. And here is the German Mark Travels. So as you see, these are all posts about other YouTube vloggers. So I want to turn this into a benefit, basically. So let's go back to let's go back to the membership page with all the tiers. So here is the Forest Planet tier, and of course I am in the creator view. You have to be in the creator view in order to get this edit button. So you click on the edit button, opens up that tier, and as I talked about, the title, the price, the description, the thumbnail, and then down here are the benefits currently added to that tier. So it's a little bit of a language problem on Patreon, because what I want to do is create a new benefit and then add it to this tier. So there's two stages. First you create it and then you add it. But Patreon's menu system doesn't distinguish between them. So even though I'm creating a new benefit, you have to start with the add benefit option. So you click on add benefit. And as I described, these are all the benefits that are currently listed for the Forest Planet. And then these ones, where there is an add button, that tells you it isn't included in this tier. This is for the upper tiers. But if I want to create a brand new one, I have to go all the way down to the bottom. And again, what I want to do is create a new benefit, but it doesn't even say that. It says browse recommended benefits. But this is where you need to go. So you click here or the arrow over here, and now it still says add a benefit, but I think to be logical and to make it more clear, it should say create a new benefit. So I'm going to use the custom benefit option, click on add, and the title, what was it called again? YouTube Vlogger Stories, right? That's what it was called. And now that is our benefit title. Now we have to add it, we have to assign it to a category. And from the list, we've got bonus content at the very top, then commissions, etc., etc. And I think for this one, this makes the most sense. Exclusive posts and updates. So I think that is the category that is the best match for this benefit, because this post is an exclusive post for Patreon members. None of the other categories match as well as this one. So I'm going to choose that, exclusive post and updates. And now we click on add benefit, though again, technically what we're doing is creating a benefit, but you click on that, and now the benefit has been created and automatically added to that tier. So here it is here down at the bottom, YouTube Vlogger Stories. And then I have to decide where I want it to go. And I think a good place to put it, let's see, maybe right in here after fabulous photos. So you just grab this handle and drag it upwards until where you want it to go, and then you let go, and there it is. You're all done. So I've added a new benefit to YouTube vlog, to the Forest Planet. Once you're done, you save your changes, of course. And if we click on the Show More button, now we can see that in the benefits for the Forest Planet, right here, we have YouTube Vlogger Stories. So now that has been added here. But for most Patreons, you're not finished yet, because all of these benefits are also offered for the upper tiers as well. So I have to go to the other tiers and add this to the other tiers as well, just to make it clear that this is a benefit for those as well. So we would go down here to the City Planet, which is the next tier, and then we have to edit this one as well. Scroll down to the benefits. So as you can see, here's fabulous photos, voting on polls, but YouTube Vlogger Stories is not listed. So what I need to do is actually add that benefit to this tier, if that makes any sense. So now we click on Add Benefit, and now we have to find the brand new tier that we just created. Scrolling down, and here it is down at the very bottom, YouTube Vlogger Stories, and it tells me that it's included in one other tier, and you could see all the tiers that it is included in, but I know it's part of the Forest Planet. But to add it to the City Planet, I click on the Add button, and here it appears down at the bottom. And then in terms of placement, I bring it back up again and put it in the same place. So now YouTube Vlogger Stories has been added to the City Planet as a new benefit, and I need to do the same thing now for the Ocean Planet. Save my changes. Scroll down to the Ocean Planet, click on Edit, and the same thing here. These are all of the benefits, but if we get to Fabulous Photos, right here, it's where it's supposed to be, YouTube Vlogger Stories is not listed there. So Add Benefit, scroll down to find it. There it is, YouTube Vlogger Stories, and now you can see it's included in two other tiers, because it's in the Forest Planet and in the City Planet, and now we're going to add it to the Ocean Planet. There it is. Same thing, we're going to drag it up to place it in the same location, right there, and now we save our changes. And then I would do it one more time for, if I wanted to, for the last tier, the Mountain Planet. But by this point, I think you get the idea. And now if we switch over to the member view, and I'll show you what this looks like for a couple of these tiers. We are in the creator view, but now let's take a look at the membership tiers as a paid member. So here we are. Here is the City Planet and the Ocean Planet. And if we click on Show More and we look at the benefits, there it is, YouTube Vlogger Stories. And at this point, I should point out that I don't know whether what I'm doing here with this type of listing of benefits, whether this is a good approach for Patreon or not. It could be a bad approach for all I know, because there's no real need to list breaking news, dispatches from the road, lively links, fabulous photos, etc. I break it down to an itemized list, but I don't really need to do that. I could keep it very simple, and I could just say that the benefit for the City Planet is bonus content, bonus videos. Like, that's all I need to say, because all of this is all bonus content. So I could just say members of the City Planet, they get early access, and they get bonus content. So I could take all of these items that I have highlighted, I could take all of them and replace them with one benefit. To keep it really simple, I could just call it bonus content, and then I'd be done. But I started this idea of listing it in detail, and right now I'm going to keep it that way for now. Because the one thing I'm thinking about is maybe by adding so many itemized, like creating an itemized list, maybe Patreon sees all of these benefits and then applies a really high tax bracket because it thinks that these are all very, very valuable because there's so many of them. And then maybe if I just get rid of them and just turn it into bonus content, then maybe they would charge less tax. But that I don't know. I mean, that is just something, there's no way to figure that out. But anyway, there you are. That is how you create a new benefit and then add it to your various tiers. So I think that's everything about membership for now. The next item in the list is the About page. And this is quite interesting. I don't know whether I needed to, but I wrote basically a little bit of like biography, who I am, where I'm from, a little bit of my life story, how I ended up traveling a lot around the world, and then a little bit about the Planet Doug Patreon down at the bottom. But you can also make this a lot more complicated. So if I click on the edit button, I can put in a video, which I plan to do eventually, but I don't have a video yet about the Planet Doug Patreon, but I'll put one in here eventually. You can also add all sorts of highlighting. I could highlight my name, for example, put it in bold. My name is Doug. I can add photographs, I can add videos, I can do all kinds of things. And then here you can connect your social media, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, etc. So you can make this more elaborate. I just haven't had the time to do it yet, but eventually I will expand this. I'll add a video, I'll add a photo, things like that. So that is the About page. And then I don't have anything here yet either. So recommendations. This is where I can recommend other Patreon creators. People that I know, people that I admire, people that I enjoy, but I haven't added anyone there yet. And so yeah. So that is it for the main page and the main menu here. Next, I'm going to talk about the menu setup over here on the left. Starting at the top over here, of course, there is the My Page button. That essentially is the home page, brings me as the creator back to this page. And then underneath that is a very interesting feature where all of your posts are collected in a library. And it actually took me a long time to discover this feature, and it's incredibly useful because it allows you to do bulk edits. Up until I found this feature, I was editing every single post individually, and if I decided to make one change to every post, it took hours because I had to do them one at a time, but it turns out I was just being a dummy. You can go here into the library, select all of them, and then you can edit all of them. So if I click on the edit button, you can edit who has access to the posts, you can edit the price, you can edit tags, you can delete tags, but the access is the most important one. So if, for example, I wanted to take a whole bunch of posts and give access to them to a different tier, I can do it here with just a couple of clicks. It doesn't take hours to do. So that's a very powerful feature. And you can filter, which is also a very powerful feature. So currently this is listing all of my posts, but I can filter it so I can see only the posts that are available to the public, all members, so that would be including free members, or I can see only the posts that are available to paid members only, free members only, and then you can go into the tiers. So I can see only the posts that are available to the forest planet, or the city planet, or the ocean planet, etc. So you can filter based on who can see a post, but then you can also filter based on the type of post. So I could see only the podcast episodes, only the audio files, only the picture posts, links, polls, text, etc. So this is a very powerful feature as well. And it shows how Patreon works a little bit like a website. It's like a little bit like WordPress, but not as powerful as WordPress. But it's also a lot easier to use than WordPress. So I use this all the time, and then I use the bulk editing all the time as well. So this is a list of all of the posts, on and on and on. You can see I have 208 in total that are visible on, these are public posts that are available on my Patreon. You can also see your collections. So these are all of the collections on my Patreon, and it tells you how many posts are in each collection, shows you the thumbnail, and then you can edit them. You can view the collection or edit the collection, sell the collection, or delete it. So that's a very handy feature as well. And then you can also, this is something it took me a long time to discover as well, there is a listing of drafts. So these are all of the posts that are not public yet. So you can see I've been working on a journal that I kept when I went to Taiwan way back in 1997 on a visa run. And I've been working on a journal that I kept when I went on a bicycle trip to Palawan, etc. So there are all these posts, 63 of them in total, that I've created for my Patreon, but they're not public yet. They are drafts. So I can still work on them and I can still change them. So here in this window, of course, you can do all the same things. You can select a bunch of them. You can filter them based on all of the same parameters. And then, so for example, this one is just a test post that I created because I was testing something. This is another test one. I can select both of them and then delete them. Delete 2 posts. Are you sure? Yes, delete 2 posts. Luckily, I didn't delete anything else. So that's a very powerful feature. The one problem that one of the problems I ran into with Patreon is that the reason I didn't know that there were drafts is because when you're creating a post, there's no menu where you can save as draft. So I didn't even know it was possible to do that. I learned it by accident and by experimentation, but I'll talk about that in detail a little bit later. So these other things, I can't really show you any of these because if I click on audience, that's going to show you the email addresses of Patreon members, so I can't show you that. Insights is like all these statistics for your Patreon, and I can't really show you that because that also gets into personal data. Payouts, can't show you that as well because it also contains sensitive personal information. But the interesting thing, I just did it this morning actually, for payouts, you have to choose a payout method, whether to a bank account or to PayPal. And then once you do that, as a Canadian, I also have to register with Patreon using an American tax form, and I have to go through a system where I register on that form with Canadian tax authorities. So you have to set up your payment method, and then you have to register your tax information. So more and more, I'm finding that having a YouTube channel is a lot like running a small business. It isn't as casual as it used to be. On YouTube, on Google, you have to register with the IRS in the United States, and then now you have to do it on Patreon as well. And it's getting more and more complicated to be a YouTuber. There's a lot of tax implications, things like that. It's not as simple as it used to be. This is the moderation hub where you control posts and people who have access to your Patreon. Promotions, that's kind of interesting. You can set up various promotions and marketing campaigns. Community gets into all of the chat windows and things like that, sending direct messages to Patreon members. The next item in the list here is the notification section, and I find myself coming here all the time now. I find it's fairly well put together, so let me show you what it looks like. Click on notifications, and here you get a list of all notifications. So for example, up here you can filter them because you get notifications every time someone leaves a comment or a reply to a comment, every time a new paid member joins the Patreon, you get a notification. If somebody upgrades from like free membership to a paid tier, or from one paid tier to a higher tier, you get a notification. If somebody downgrades, goes from an upper tier to a lower one, or someone cancels their membership, you'll get notifications about all of these things, and then you can filter by that. So perhaps all you want to see are the comments. You just click and it's automatic. And now I see all of the most recent comments. And it doesn't matter that I'm showing this to you, of course, because these are all public. These are all comments that people left on one of my posts asking me a question or leaving their own opinion on something. So I will get notifications about all of these things. Let's turn off the filter just for now. Well, what's really interesting about this is one of my patrons and a longtime Planet Doug supporter, Self-Reflection, liked my comment on this video. Or on this post, I should say. So I'm told that's one of the notifications also when people like something. She liked this one, another comment that I made. And then here, Self-Reflection left a comment. And what I learned, again, I learned this completely by accident, is that I can click on this and watch what happens. For me, it's absolutely magical. I click on it and boom, I get to read it right here, and I also get to reply. And I can like it. So I can like her comment, I can read her comment, and then I can reply to the comment, and I could go to the post if I wanted to. But what I love about this feature is that it doesn't automatically bring you to the post. You have to choose to go to the post. So I can read her comment, reply to the comment without leaving the notifications area. So I could write my reply, and then I'm back right where I was, which is amazing. Here we see that this person and two others just became free members. So if we click on that, we see the names of the three new free members, Umaguma or Umaguma, Susan Green, and JCat X. And you can click on insights for those free members. And of course, I won't do that here. It doesn't matter, again, that I'm showing you this because their membership in the Planet Doug Patreon is public. You can see that they are free members anyway. And now here, another person, another longtime Planet Doug patron and supporter commented here. So I can click on that comment. I can read the comment, like it, reply to it, or go directly to the post. And something else that's quite interesting is that if two people comment at the same time, you can actually see both comments. And I think that happened here somewhere, like right here. For this post, Umaguma or Amagama and two others commented here. And if I click on that, look at that. I see all three of them at the same time. So I can go through the entire list, and then I can read every comment in full. I can like it. I can reply to it. And then here I already replied to KY's comment, and you can see the replies by clicking on it, and then it takes you to the post. And I can see my replies here. So let's go back here. So again, with these two comments, I can like them, I can read them, I can reply to them, or I can go to the post. So that is basically how notifications works. And I find this to be quite well put together. And I spend a lot of time here. I wake up in the morning, make a cup of coffee, I check YouTube, reply to comments there, then I come over to Patreon, and then I can go through the notifications very quickly. And then whenever I see that someone has commented, I click on it, reply to it, move to the next one. So that is the notifications area. Moving on, the next section in this side panel is the very important one. These are the settings. And there's a lot going on in settings. There's a few things here I want to talk about. So here in settings, for example, one thing I learned is that they offer video storage. As you can see here, that when you open a Patreon account, you actually are given 500 hours of video storage for free. And it says here that if you run out of space, you can actually request more and at no additional cost, which is very, very interesting. Right now, I'm not taking advantage of that because all of my videos right now are being uploaded to YouTube. But I can think of a number of situations where you have a video, but YouTube won't allow you to post it because of advertiser sensitivity, things like that, because of their community guidelines. You could take that same video, upload it privately to Patreon. And Patreon also gives you the option of uploading to Vimeo, and you can give Patreon members private access to Vimeo as well. And I haven't set that up either. So under settings, there are a whole bunch of other things that you can look at. Let's go on to the next one. So here under settings, you can create a team. So you have to upgrade to a higher plan. For me, as a creator, if I wanted to do that, I would need a premium account. But then I can have people all around the world who would have access to my Patreon account, and they could help me run it. Obviously, I'm not doing that. There are apps here. So this is Discord. So this is where you would go to set up your Discord, which I haven't done yet. I doubt I will do it. If a lot of people on Patreon talk about it and they ask for it, then I would do it. But right now it seems like a lot of work, and I don't think people that watch Planet Doug videos know anything about Discord. And then here's Vimeo, what I talked about. You can post member-only videos directly on Patreon using Vimeo. And I may end up doing that in the future. Podcast and audio is quite interesting, where you can take your posts to Patreon and turn them to an official podcast. Right now, I don't do that. I do have videos that I call the Planet Doug podcast, but they are just normal YouTube videos. I don't know anything about podcasting, so yeah, my brain right now, it can't handle any more technology, so I have not officially set up a podcast. So also in settings, you have this email notifications. And this was a bit confusing to me at first, but I eventually figured it out. I thought that this was all about email notifications to your Patreon members, but that's not what this is. Under settings, email notifications, these are the notifications that you get in your email and in your Patreon app. So you can toggle all of these off and on so that every time I upload a new post, I can give myself a notification by turning this on. I originally had this on, but then because I thought this was about sending a notification to Patreon members, but it isn't. This is about sending yourself notifications. So eventually I turned this off because I don't need a notification. If I've uploaded a new post, I know I've done it. I don't need to tell myself that I've done it. So I turned that off. And here as well, I had this turned on that every time somebody left a comment or a reply on a post, I would get an email notification. Again, I thought this was for Patreon members, but it's actually for me. And again, I don't need this because I use this over here, which I'm going to go back to later on, the notifications settings here. So I found by having this turned on, I was getting way too many emails. So I turned that off as well. Direct messages, that's a little bit different because that's more rare. People might leave a lot of comments on replies, and I don't need an email every time somebody leaves a comment. I'm going to see it eventually anyway, but a direct message is something different. So for now, I have that on so that I will get an email notification when someone sends me a direct message. Same thing for memberships. Every time someone signs up as a new paid member, notice they don't have free members here, but if I want to, I can get an email notification every time a new paid member signs up. I have that turned on because I like to send every new paid member a welcome message. So this will tell me, and then I can send a message to the new member. The shop purchases, when someone buys a product from your shop, you can get an email message. I have that one turned on. And then reminders to share when a clip of your post is ready to be shared. I don't know what that feature is yet. I haven't used it. And then you have a separate section for marketing email settings. And I haven't done anything with that either because I don't have any marketing campaigns set up or anything like that. But anyway, the important thing to know is that in the settings, email notifications, this is all about notifications to you as the Patreon creator. And if you want to change the settings for notifications to Patreon members, that's located somewhere else. And then finally, there is billing and payouts, and I can't go there and show you that because it would have sensitive personal information again. So now what I want to do is actually go through a process of creating a post on Patreon and show you how to do that. So you can do it from almost anywhere. So if you look down here at the very bottom of this menu, there is a create button. So all you have to do is click on that create button. But let's go back to my main page first, because that's where I would normally be hanging out. Here we are back at the main page, and here is the create button, and then there is another one over here. And you can click on either one. They're both exactly the same. So let's click on this one, create, and now this is the heart and soul of Patreon. Once you have created your Patreon account, you will probably spend a lot of your time here because this is where you create a post. And when I started on Patreon, it looked quite a bit different. So for example, up here at the top, these are the different types of posts that you can make. You can make a live stream, a poll, a link to the internet, or a media post. But when I first started Patreon, there were a bunch more here. It would say like photo post, audio post, video post. But Patreon changed things, and now all of that is contained underneath media. And I'll show you that in a minute. So it's pretty straightforward. It's just like creating a post for a WordPress blog or something like that. Here you give your post a title, and this is the body of your post. You can add attachments that Patreon members can download these attachments if they wish. You can also make your post a drop. I haven't done this yet, so I don't know how it works, but this is basically like a premiere, like a YouTube premiere. You can make your Patreon post a premiere by making it a drop. You basically schedule your video to go live as a drop, and then fans can experience it at the same time, and you can have a real-time chat on Patreon. And here you choose the collections for this post, and then you can add tags. So as I said, the posting options have changed quite a bit. So now if you select media, you can drop an image, a video, or an audio file. These used to be separate options, but now they're all included underneath media. So you can browse your laptop, or you can embed a link, a URL, an URL from the internet. And in this case, what I want to do is show you the steps for making a photo post. So what I do generally is I start with the title, and I call it a photo post, and I know what kind of photo that I'm going to upload or put onto Patreon. So what I'm going to call this one, just as an example, let's see, what am I going to be uploading? Yeah, I had dinner last night, and I had one of my favorite meals, mie ayam bakso in Indonesia. So now I just need to click on browse, and once I'm here, I need to navigate to the correct folder. So we've got, these are where I keep all of the folders for Planet Doug, YouTube audio tracks, pictures and graphics that I use all the time, Patreon graphics, etc., etc. And in this case, I know that I have a folder here underneath Patreon graphics, and there's Planet Doug fabulous photos, and down here somewhere, okay, there's the mie ayam bakso, the small, and then there's the place where I was having lunch. So you can upload one photo if you wish. That's what I do most of the time. Or you can upload multiple photos. And I'm not entirely clear how that works sometimes in terms of displaying them. But here is one photo being uploaded. And then you get a single picture. So there is the mie ayam bakso. And then I could write about it here and then move on with the post. So I like it that way because it's very simple and it's very clear, one picture, and it's displayed like this. But you can also choose as many as you like. So let's do that. You can, let's delete it. And now let's upload two of them, both photos at the same time. So now I've got the me, I am Bakso, and the food stall where I was eating. So now I've got two pictures. Let's upload them. Let's see what Patreon does with them. Sometimes it puts them side by side, and sometimes it does this. So I like this better, and I think I can change position because I want the Bakso to be the main picture, not this one. I think I can drag it up there. Right, okay. So you can switch places. So now here we are. Here's my photo. This is the meal I had. This is where I had the meal. And then basically I'm going to tell people about that. So I'm going to write a little story here. So there it is. There's the little story that I wrote about this me, I am Bakso. So I've got the photos, I've got the title, the type of post that it is. You don't have to do that. It's just something that I do because I like to be organized. You can also add captions if you want to. So if I go into this image and edit captions, yeah. So I could just put a little caption under this one. All right, save those. And then you go over here to collections and you choose what collection to add this post to. So all of the collections that I've created show up here in a long drop-down list. So I know this is a fabulous photos post, so I add it to that collection. But you can also add it to multiple collections at the same time. So I could also call this, I could add this to, you could call it a dispatch from the road because I'm talking about the meal that I have on a daily basis. So it doesn't really matter how many collections you add it to, except that I also have my collections tied into the benefits. So if I'm posting something that is brand new, I can also create a new collection right here. So if I'm posting this and I have an idea, it's like, I should have a collection dedicated only to food. And now that I think about it, that's actually a pretty good idea. So why don't we do that right now? We can create a collection. So if you give a name to your collection, I can't think of anything exciting right now. So I'll change this later. I'm just going to call it food posts for now. And then I could say this collection is all about the amazing food I get to try in different countries. And then you add a photo. So in this case, maybe I could take this me, I am Bakso and use that as the thumbnail for this collection. So let's take the small one here. And I believe it will automatically create a square version of it. There it is. So now I have a thumbnail, and I'll probably add some words to it and shape this a little bit. But just for now, just for showing how it works, I can now create this collection. And it will show up in the list. And now this will automatically be added to my food posts collection. It's that easy. So I really enjoy the collections feature. It's really well designed. And now you can see here that I've added this photo post to 3 different collections. Fabulous photos, dispatches from the road, and food posts, which of course I'm going to change that name eventually. So when you're here, now I'm viewing this as a creator, of course. I can add an attachment down here, but now before I move on, I can view it as a member. So you click View Post as Member, and this is how it's going to look to you, which, to be honest, I'm not that fond of. I prefer to have one big picture. But as far as I can tell, I have no control over this. So it's got two photos, and it's going to put them side by side. And then there, that is what it's going to look like when it's posted to Patreon. And you can also change the view. This is how it would look to a member, someone who has joined the Planet Doug Patreon. But I can also view how it looks to a member of the public. And as you can see, it's blurred out because the way I have it set up right now, a member of the public can't see this post. If they want to see it, they have to click on this locked button and then join the Planet Doug Patreon. So I can go back and forth between member and public, and you can also go see how it looks on the desktop. That's how it looks on desktop, and you can also see how it looks on the mobile app. So this is how it will look on a smartphone, and I've never done this before. How does it look in an email? Preview email. Ah, I see. Okay, I've never done that before. So yeah, I guess I just got an email, and if I click on the email, which I'm doing right now, I have it open on my phone, and I can see exactly how it looks as an email, and it looks really, really good. Okay, so we've been learning a lot today. So now that I've finished with all of that, I click on, this is the preview window. I click on the X to exit the preview, and now I have everything the way I want it. You can add tags. I haven't been using tags yet. I don't know how useful they are. And then you click on the next button, which takes you to your publishing options. And things here can get a little bit complicated. I don't understand everything here yet, but the basics are pretty clear. So you just start at the top. Who can access this post? Right now it's set like paid members only is the default, and I can change this to anything that I want. So I could say that everybody who visits my Patreon can see it. They don't even have to be a member of the Planet Doug Patreon. I can say all members, meaning free members and those who have joined a paid tier. I can say paid members only, which means all of the tiers. I can say free members only. I can also choose selected tiers. So here you can pick who gets access to this post. Maybe this post is only for the City Planet, or maybe it's for all of these tiers, or it's only for the Ocean Planet, or you can say all tiers. So you have a choice here as well. And you can choose this one, which is the one I'm a little bit confused about. I'll talk about that later on, like for purchase only. So you can actually say that this post, somebody has to buy it, and you set the price here. And I haven't done anything like that yet, so I don't know how that works. So let's go back to public. No, let's go to paid members only, because that illustrates everything I want to talk about. So now that I've selected paid members only, I can sell this post if I want to, and allow early access, which is the most complicated part of Patreon for me. I haven't quite got this figured out yet, but if you select early access, then you can say, it's a little bit complicated, but basically what this means is that this post will be available to who you said here right away, but then it will go public on a later date. So as I'm recording this, it is January 8th, so I might say I want this post to go public on the 15th. So paid members get early access, and then 1 week later, this post will go public. So that's how early access works. It's a little bit complicated. You really have to think it through, but you can click on the Learn More button and that will show you how it works. And you can set a release date. I use this all the time. There's a little bit of a problem with my laptop that I don't understand, that for some reason it defaults to tomorrow. It seems to think that today is January 9th, and I don't know why. So I have to go into the release date and change this to January 8th. So now that I have everything set up, paid members only, early access to my paid members, and I set a release date, and then I can preview the post again. So there it is. That's how it looks for the public. That's how it looks to members. That's how it looks on the desktop. And this is what it looks like on the mobile app. So everything is good to go. And then you have some choices here. You can allow comments on this post, yes or no. I will always say yes, of course. And allow members to be notified. You can say yes or no. So I do want members to be notified. And then members will receive notifications. This is by email and through the Patreon app. And then Patreon members can choose whether they want notifications or not. They can decide that they are getting too many notifications, and they can choose their own settings based on that. And then you click on publish. And then basically you're done. In this case, I don't really want these settings, so I'm not going to click on the publish button, but that would be the final step. So that's basically how you create a post. If you want to go back to here, make changes here, and this is what I was talking about before in terms of saving a draft. I was expecting to find here a save button. Like I'm not, as I said, I'm not ready to publish it yet. So I just want to save it as a draft. And there was no option. Like there's no save as draft, save as anything. There's no save menu. So I was really confused about that. And I would go here and it was like, like how can I don't want to publish it yet. What can I do? But it turns out it saves the draft automatically. So once I got into this point, if you don't click on the publish button, it automatically saves it as a draft. So let's go to my library. I'll open it in a new tab. So if I go to my library, refresh it, it doesn't show up underneath posts because I haven't published it yet. But if you go to drafts, there it is, photo post, me ayam bakso in Indonesia. So it was so amazing when I discovered this, but I discovered it completely by accident. So because I've done all this work, I've uploaded the photos, I've written a story, I wrote a post, I chose collections, but I'm not ready to publish it yet. But you don't have to worry about it. As long as you've gotten to this stage, everything you've done is automatically saved as a draft. So once you get here, or you've clicked on the next button, now all you have to do is go back to the home page. Just click on the home page and it will automatically save it as a draft. So let's go back to the home page. And here we are. So that is how you post a photo. Now I want to show you how to post a YouTube video, whether one of my own videos or a link. We're starting from the same place, the home page, and you can click on either create button. Let's click on this one this time. And you get the exact same window where you're creating a brand new post, either a live stream, a poll, a link, or media. And this is a little bit interesting because in this case, what I want to post is a link, but I want it to display in a certain way. So you can click here to embed a link, or you can do it through the media thing as well. And I'm not entirely clear on this, but basically what I see is that when you use the link button, the link shows up as a small box. And then you have to click on the link, and then it takes you away from Patreon to that site. So even if it's a YouTube video, it shows up in a small box, and then you have to click on it to go somewhere else. So let's do it just for fun, because I'm not entirely clear on it myself. So let's click on link, and what I want to link to is this video. This was the newest post from a friend of mine. This is Sean, currently living in Siem Reap, as you can see, and he posted this video, and maybe I want to feature it on my Patreon as something that might be interesting to my Patreon members. So of course I need a link to it. You just click on share and copy the link to this video. Go back into Patreon, and then you just paste the link right there. So now let's see what happens. Yeah, so that's basically what I thought would happen. So now the way it displays is in a small box, and then if you click on this later on, it will take you out of Patreon and bring you to YouTube. And I don't actually like that. I prefer it to stay on Patreon and display bigger. So this is what it looks like as a link. Let's delete that. Yes, I want to delete that. So now what I prefer to do is go to media, embed the URL, do exactly the same thing, paste the link, and now look at the difference. Boom. So now it shows up in full. And then someone who's looking at this on Patreon, they can click on the YouTube play button and watch it on Patreon, or they can click here and that will take them to YouTube. So they can watch it here, or they can watch it on YouTube. I just find this is a lot more clear. So here we are, and what I'm going to do is call this a vlogger post, and I know the name of his channel is Frugal Wanderer. Frugal Wanderer takes a ride on his scooter. Now that's not very exciting, is it? Rides around Siem Reap, Cambodia. So that's a little bit better. And then of course I would come down here and then I would write a short story about this video, just telling people what it is about. And then of course we go over to collections, and in this case I know I have a collection for YouTube vloggers, so I would choose lively links. So I add this post to my link collection, but then I also add it to my YouTube vlogger stories collection. So I add it to these two collections, and now we can view it again as let's view it as a member. So this is what it looks like for a member. For the public, again, oh, that's different. So it doesn't actually, I think in reality it's going to show up a little bit different with the YouTube video there, but grayed out. So I'm not sure why it looks like that. But anyway, to a Patreon member, this is what it looks like on the desktop and on a mobile web. So that's how it would look on somebody's Patreon app on the smartphone. And yeah, I think that looks pretty good. So now that we're done here, we click on the next button, and then we go through all of these as well. Who has access to this post? I can choose who has access to it. I can choose whether to sell it or not, whether I want to give certain tiers early access, and I can set a release date, etc., etc. And again, same as with the other one, I haven't saved anything. I haven't done anything, but if we go to the library and we click on drafts, boom, there it is. Frugal Wanderer rides around Siem Reap, Cambodia. So I think that's really handy, really useful that it saves a draft, but you have to remember that Patreon saves the draft automatically, and you have to go look for it, and you find it in your library underneath the drafts tab. If you look under posts, it's not here because you haven't published it yet. You have to go under drafts, and there it is. And then if I want to continue working on it, I go over here to the three dots and say edit post, and it opens it up, and I can continue working on it. So here we are, just going to go back, and then now let's go all the way back to the home page again. I don't have to do anything here, as I said, because everything has been saved as a draft. Let's go back to the home page. Okay, that brings me to the end of my own personal learning curve when it comes to Patreon. I think I've covered just about everything that I've figured out to date. There's still a lot of things I don't understand, particularly to do with early access. It gets quite complicated when you start setting dates and availability and access to different tiers and the general public. I haven't quite got that figured out, and I haven't figured out the whole business with the shop and how you can specify collections or posts for sale in the shop. I haven't set up anything like that, but I'll figure that out in the future. But I think I've been babbling along for long enough, and I hope you found that to be a little bit entertaining, if not a little bit helpful. And yeah, I hope to see you again in another Planet Doug Learning Curve video. I'll see you then.